Okay, good morning. We are so excited to have you here today at Metropolitan Community College's South Omaha campus. And we also have people watching us on Zoom. So it's a big audience, and I want to welcome all of you. Now, I just heard that this is the first field trip that Pawnee Elementary has made since the pandemic. So, wow, are we going to say, yay, we like field trips, right? Woo, woo. That's exciting. I'm so happy to have you here. My name is Barbara Velasquez, and I am honored to be with you. And I'd also like to thank the South Omaha Immigrant History Museum for partnering with us in today's presentation. This is our final program in 2023 to honor Hispanic and Latino Heritage Month. And I'm so glad you can share with us today. Carolina is going to present storytelling today. Are you excited about that? All right. Isn't the stage beautiful? All right. She is a bilingual storyteller who engages her audience with Latin American stories from El Rio Grande to La Patagonia. Since arriving in the U.S., she has been featured at the National Storytelling Festival and the Timpanogos Storytelling Festival, among other events. Carolina has toured numerous schools, libraries, museums, and cultural institutions from the East to the West, sharing the richness of Latin American and historic folklore. This morning, I learned that Carolina right now is living in the Appalachian Mountain area of North Carolina. So when you all go back to your classrooms, you can ask your teachers to help you see where that is on a map. It's always cool to learn about how big this world is. Carolina's dedication to stories brought her to produce her literary podcast, Tres Cuentos, which showcases Latin America's literature and can be found at her website, www.carolinaquiroga.com. Today, Carolina showcases animated videos for kids, parents, and teachers to enjoy on her YouTube channel at Carolina Quiroga Storyteller. As a teacher artist for the Wolf Trap Institute of Early Learning since 2016, Carolina created an integrated curriculum for pre-K classrooms in San Antonio, Texas. She is part of the Tapas, teaching artists presenting in Asheville schools today. Please welcome Carolina Andrea Quiroga H, who will perform for us today.
Hello, friends. How are you today? ¿Cómo están? Bien. So, my name is Carolina. What's my name? Lina, yes. And today we have a very important event. We're going to start celebrating something called El Día de los Muertos, the Day of the Dead. Do you know anything about it? If you know anything about it, raise your hand so I can hear what do you know about this celebration. Yes, ma'am. Yes, we celebrate those who passed away with things that they liked when they were alive. Yes, what else do you know about it? Yes, exactly, those who passed away. Yes, yes, sir. What do we know about it? Sometimes we wear skeletons. Yeah, during the celebration. Yeah, okay. Yes, that's something that we know. Yes, ma'am. What do we know? They're made of what? Tienen. Okay, sí, muy bien. What else do you know, my friend? We celebrate them to make them happy. That's great. All right. So you already know some stuff, and I hope at the end of this little show, you'll get to know much more. What we're going to do is that I am going to tell you a story first, a short story. Then I'm going to start telling you a little bit of history so you understand, and then we tell another story. If we have time, then we tell another story. Sounds good? Yeah, it all depends on time and attention. Good attention. All right. So let's start with a short, tiny story. Sounds good? Yes. Well, once there was a man who had been raised celebrating los muertos, the ancestors. Since he was a child, his parents taught him to organize a beautiful altar on el Día de los Muertos, the Day of the Dead, November the 1st, the 2nd, for his ancestors, for those who had passed away, abuelas, abuelos, tías, tíos, grandparents, aunts, and uncles. So he grew up knowing that every year on Dia de los Muertos, he would do this. He would organize an altar and maybe food and other offerings called ofrendas. But one day this man grew up, and he was a grown-up man, and he got married. And his wife did not believe much on this thing about the muertos, the ancestors coming back every year to partake from our ofrendas, to eat the food and share time with us. She didn't believe in that. So when the day came, or it was coming, the man asked his wife to please, 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 please cook some delicious meals for his abuelos and abuelas, his ancestors, his aunts and uncles who had passed away, because it was part of his tradition. And you know what she said? No, 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 no. I'm not gonna cook something for someone that I didn't know. A bunch of strangers. I didn't know your abuela. I didn't know your abuelo. I didn't know those grandparents, your tías, tíos. No, I didn't know those people. I'm not gonna cook for them. But the husband begged and begged to please, please do it. Help him with that. And at the end, she said, okay. Well, it happens that the man had to go on a journey, so he couldn't help on the preparations for the celebration. So he trusted that his wife would do it, that she would keep her promise. And so he went on a journey. But guess what? When el Día de los Muertos, the Day of the Dead came, do you think that woman cooked anything? No. She said, no. I'm not gonna cook anything for people that I didn't know. Not abuelos, tíos, ancestors that I didn't know. I'm not cooking anything for them. So she didn't. Well, it turns out that later that night, the man came back from his long travels, and when he was getting home, he saw a group of people coming towards him, and they were wearing white, and they were all walking really tired like this. Oh, they seemed like they were hungry and thirsty, and they looked so sad. And when they were closer, the man knew those were his abuelas and abuelos, ancestors, his grandparents, his tías, tíos, aunts and uncles. Even his dog, Pepe, who had passed away, died 2 years ago, it was there, part of the group. And he saw that they were so sad. So he asked them, ancestors, why are you so sad? Didn't you enjoy the ofrendas we got for you? And one of the abuelos, one of the ancestors, he said, no, mijo, we went to your house, but there was nothing for us, not even a glass of water. Have you forgotten us so quickly? The man couldn't believe it. This meant that his wife didn't prepare anything at all. Oh, he was getting angry. Oh, he wanted to scold that woman. But the abuelo, the ancestor, the grandfather said, no, mijo, no. There's no need to scold her, not at all. Instead, we can give her a good fright, un buen susto. And he told her what he had to do. So the man went back home, and that night he didn't tell anything to his wife, except he told her that tomorrow, the next day, it was Sunday, to wear her brand new dress for the Sunday Mass. It was a dress she had gotten about a week ago, beautiful, gorgeous, perfect for the Sunday Mass. So next morning, Sunday, she woke up so happy because she was gonna try a new dress. And so she went to the top drawer and she pulled out that dress that had a little bit of white and yellow and red and a bit of black here and there. Oh, she was gonna look so gorgeous. She was gonna be the talk of the town. Everybody was going to be so jealous of her. She was gonna look so pretty. And as she starts unfolding the dress, so excited to wear it, she realizes that what happened? Her dress had a bunch of skeletons on it. How could it be she didn't buy it like that? What kind of skeletons do you see here, friends? Tell me, go ahead and say it aloud. Do we see a skeleton with a pumpkin? Yes, what else do we see here? What is this guy doing? This one. With a trumpet, yes, and let's see this other one here. He has a saxophone. So they are what? They're playing music, yes. And do we see one with a drum? Yes, several with a drum. And what do you think they're doing? They're playing music, they're celebrating, they're having fun. Do they look sad? No, they're having a fiesta party. Oh, when that woman saw that dress with all those skeletons, she passed. She fainted. When she recovered from the fright, she had no other choice but to wear that dress for the Sunday Mass. And when she came into the church, everybody pointed at her. Everybody pointed at me. And then everybody laughed. Ha, ha, ha. Everybody, give me a good laugh. Ha, 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 ha. Because they knew the ancestors had given that woman a good fright. Un buen susto. Good job, guys. Give yourselves a round of applause. Yay. So, what do we learn from that story? Maybe that the ancestors are not to be feared, right? No, they have a sense of humor, right? What do you learn from that story, friend? She could be more kind. Yes. What else do we learn? She could be more helpful, right? Yes, it didn't matter that she didn't know his traditions, but he could be maybe, she could have been more respectful too, right? What else do we learn? Yes, helpful. Anything else different from that woman that we learned? Anything? Yes. Yeah, I think she got the message, right? Do you think she got the message? And maybe by next time she actually made some food? Yes. All right. Thank you, friends. Can we go to the next slide, please? All right. So let me tell you a little bit about me. I'm actually from Colombia, and that's a country in South America. And this celebration of Dia de los Muertos, Day of the Dead, is actually a Mexican celebration, mostly indigenous. Some groups in Central America, kind of borders with Guatemala, they also celebrate Dia de los Muertos, Day of the Dead. And now that there's so many Mexican American communities here in the US, they are celebrating more and more in Dia de los Muertos, the Day of the Dead. Now, how is a Colombian from South America telling the stories from El Dia de los Muertos that are Mexican stories, right? Well, it turns out that in Latin America, the rest of the countries, we also celebrate our muertos, our ancestors, but in a very different way. So when I learned that, and then I came to the United States, specifically in Texas, and I was invited to celebrate Dia de los Muertos in San Antonio. I learned so much about it that I loved it. And I decided that I wanted to embrace it too, because it was a much better way to celebrate our ancestors. Can we go on to the next slide, please? All right. But this also, if you see some of the pictures there, people in different parts of Latin America, they celebrate their ancestors too in different ways. In Argentina, they also put a picture and candles. In Colombia, we just go to the cemeteries and talk to our ancestors. In Mexico, is a big fiesta, a big party. And in Bolivia, you see there's some Inca people there, indigenous people, and they are celebrating also their ancestors. All right, next slide. Okay, so like I said, a lot of indigenous people celebrate it. And a fun fact is that we normally think that we celebrate it on November the 1st and the 2nd, but actually many indigenous communities celebrate starting on October the 25th, today. They start celebrating today, and sometimes their celebrations go until November the 3rd, like a whole week of celebrations. Could you imagine that, celebrating every single day? Wouldn't that be fun? Yeah, yes, of course. So that guy that you see right there, we have to thank that guy. His name was Bernardino de Sahagún. He was a missionary, and when he met the indigenous people long time ago, 500 years ago, he took an interest, and he asked them to tell him about their traditions, and he wrote them down. And that is how we ended up learning so much about the people in Mexico and other parts of Central America, because he took notes and he decided to just respect all that. Next slide. All right. So the origins of this celebration are lost in time, because it's a really old celebration. But we know that people in what is today Mexico have been celebrating for a long time. But here's the thing. Long time ago, there were these people called the Aztecs, or well, actually the Nahua people in what is today Mexico. And they were celebrating ancestors, you know how many times a year? Can you take a guess? Take a guess and show me with your fingers. How many times a year do you think they were celebrating their ancestors? Someone says 3, someone says 5, 10 times. How many other numbers? 4 times. I see 9 times. I see 8 times, 10 times. Well, whoever says 5 got the right answer. Yes, they were celebrating their ancestors 5 times a year. In August, they were celebrating those little children that had passed away. Then around October, they were celebrating the grown-ups that had passed away. Then they were celebrating women that had passed away, giving birth. Then they were celebrating all the rest of the dead. And there was even another one, 5 times a year. That's a lot of parties, don't you think? Yeah. And you know why they were celebrating them? Very simple. Because they believe that when someone dies and passes, they become a teotl. Can you say it with me? Teotl. And a teotl is a spirit, or sort of a deity, like a god, like a minor god. And that means that that person that had passed away now has some special powers. And these powers are to intercede for the living, for us, to the gods, or the Christian God, or the saints, to those who are on the other side. Let's say we need help with something. What could we need help with? Tell me. Yes, ma'am. We need help taking something upstairs, maybe, right? To one place to another? Is that it? So maybe we need to move this huge furniture one place to another, but we are not strong enough. Can we do it alone? No. So maybe if we pray to our ancestors and we ask them for help, it's not that they're going to come back and show up and, hey, I'm here to help you out. No, but maybe they will ask other people to see that you need help. And those people will say, do you need help? And they will come and help you. That's how it works. So you pray to your ancestor, and that person on the other side will help move things around to come and help you with whatever it is that you need. So that's why the ancestors are so important, because if we think they're dead, no, they're not. They're still alive somewhere else. All right, next slide. And well, so how we ended up celebrating on November the 1st and the 2nd, if the Nahuas were celebrating 5 times a year, long time ago, there were these people called the Catholics, and they came to the Americas, and they were also celebrating their dead only those 2 days a year. And they're celebrating their saints and other the people, but they were celebrating, may I say, in a very boring way. Because they would just go to mass, pray for them, and that was it, the end of it. They wouldn't do anything else. And then when they met the Nahuas, and they realized that the Nahuas respected their ancestors so much that they would organize altars and food for them and put all these nice things for them, then this Catholic said, okay, that sounds good. How about we negotiate here? Instead of celebrating 5 times a year, we bring that celebration and we put it only on November the 1st and the 2nd, but you still can do all these beautiful things that you do for your ancestors. And people were like, all right. Well, it took many years to get to that all right, but eventually it did. And that is how we arrived to El Día de los Muertos, the Day of the Dead. So let's tell a story. Can we go to the next slide? And next one again. Next one again. That's it. Perfect. All right. So what do we have here? What is this? Is something from Mexico, you feel? Yeah, but what is it? A dress? It's a poncho. Yeah, that you put over your head, right? Yes, yes. Okay, let's do it. Okay, perfect. So, once there was a man whose name was Juan. What was his name? Juan. And Juan was a very good and kind-hearted man. He would always help anyone in need. He was just that good. Now, his wife, Teresa, what was the lady's name? Teresa. Yeah, she was kind of the opposite. She was not a bad person, no, not at all. But she was not necessarily the person that enjoyed or liked strangers. She was kind of skeptical about it. And she was not necessarily too friendly to strangers. She liked gossiping a little bit. She was always talking about this and that. Well, it happens that one day, Juan went to the forest to chop some wood, and he walked deep into the forest, even farther than he had ever been. He even passed some hills, and eventually he found a clearing. And there he saw a pile of bones. He thought it was some cow bones. He remembered that his compadre, his neighbor, had lost a cow a while back, a cow that had drifted into the forest and gotten lost. And likely the coyotes had eaten the cow eventually, and that those bones were likely those, the cow bones. But when Juan came closer, he realizes that those were not cow bones. Those were human bones. And a cold chill went down his spine. He broke into a sweat, and he felt so sad. So he said to the bones, Señor, mister, I don't know how you came to die here, but no one should die alone. I'm going to bury you. Yes. And I invite you to come to my home on El Día de los Muertos, the Day of the Dead, so you can partake from our ofrendas, the offerings that we're organizing for our ancestors. All I ask you, Señor, is that please don't frighten my wife or me. And so Juan went on and he buried the bones. Then he went to chop wood. He went to the market. He sold the wood. And he didn't tell a single soul about what he had done, not even his wife. Now, this happened around March. When did this happen? In March. So there, after March, what goes after March? April. What goes after April? May. Then June. Then July. Then August. Then September. Then October. Then we arrived to November. So about 7 to 8 months have passed. And Juan, from time to time, would suggest to his wife, Teresa, that perhaps they should organize a humble, small ofrenda, a small offering outside their home of water and a tamal, you know, with some mole, a little bit of food for the errant souls. Do you know what the errant souls are? No. These are the souls of those people who passed away, maybe in an accident, or they just didn't know what was going on and they died alone. So they don't have anyone to remember them. So he suggested to his wife that maybe they could put a little bit of water and a tamal or a candle outside for, you know, those souls that had passed away and had no one to remember them. But his wife would not have it. No, Juan, I'm not gonna organize something for someone that I never met. No, estás loco, you crazy. Well, October arrived and Juan, he worked really hard chopping wood because Dia de los Muertos, Day of the Dead, is very important. Whenever you're celebrating your ancestors, you have to almost throw a fiesta. So this fiesta costs a lot of money and it implies making a lot of food. Well, Juan, he went to clean up his relatives' graves at the cemetery, and his wife stayed at home preparing the ofrendas, the food for their ancestors, their abuelas, abuelos, tíos, tías, grandpas, uncles, aunts, and everybody that they had loved. Then Juan came back home and they sat around the table with his wife and they began calling their abuelos. Abuelo Fernando, abuela Amelia, tío Pepe, tía Juanita. And they called them and they told them in which part of the altar it was their ofrenda by placing a special belonging that the person had when they were alive. You know what that means? Let's say someone loved a ring, their favorite ring, right? And then that person passes away. Then what you do is you place that ring that that person loves so much in their altar, in their ofrenda. That way, when that person is ready to come and visit you from the other side, they will know which place is for them because they'll know that that's where the ring is. So they began calling them. And then when they finished, they began eating their food and talking about their ancestors, all those good memories. But all of a sudden, they heard 2 knocks on the door. Teresa thought, that must be Doña Pamplina's children. She always sends those children so early. The muertos, the dead, barely have time to eat their food. But those children are so poor and so hungry, so I understand, but still, oh, rude. So, well, she went to open the door, but there were no children outside. Instead, there was a tall, slender man with a long poncho that reached up to his toes. It was so long, and he had horse riding gloves and a big sombrero over his head, oh, so big that it was pulled so low you couldn't even see his face. And so the woman asked, "Sí, señor, what do you want?" And the tall, slender man with a big sombrero over his head said, "Buenas noches, señora. Is Don Juan here?" He invited me to come here today. Oh, Teresa didn't like that. Her husband had invited someone and didn't tell her. Oh, that's bad. So at this point, she wanted to know who that man was. Who was that stranger? So she began rocking back and forth, trying to see the stranger's face. But the man, the tall, slender man with a big sombrero over his head, only lowered his head down even more. So Teresa yelled, "There's a stranger here, un extraño, que dice que usted lo invitó. He says that you invited him here today without telling me." When Juan arrived to the door, Teresa said, "Perdone, señor, you will excuse me. I am a very busy woman." And she left for the kitchen. Then Juan asked the stranger, "Señor, ¿en qué lo puedo ayudar? How can I help you?" And the tall, slender man with a big sombrero over his head said, "Juan, don't you remember me? You buried me back in March, and you invited me to come here today." Juan remembered, of course, and he did not feel afraid. He was so happy that his guest had finally come, so he invited him to come into the house. The newcomer, the stranger, sat on their table, and then Juan went to the kitchen and he begged his wife to serve some tamales and mole for the stranger. He said, Teresa, could you serve him some food? Ay, por favor, por favor. I'll explain to you later, okay? No questions right now. Oh, no. No. That woman wanted to know everything. Oh, you don't come telling her that you can be asking questions. No. So she was really angry. She gave him a mean look like, Well, she served some tamales and mole. Mole is a spicy sauce. And then she brought the plate. She sat it right there on the table. She slid the plate in front of the man and said, "Aquí está su comida, señor. Here's your food." And the tall, slender man with a big sombrero over his head said, "Gracias, señora. Thank you." Oh, Teresa sat on the table. She was determined to find out who that man was. And so she began asking questions. "So, ¿cómo se llama, señor? What's your name?" And the tall, slender man said, "Mis amigos me llaman Ángel. My friends call me Ángel." Okay, señor Ángel. Muy bien. ¿Su esposa viene? Is your wife coming? No, señora. Oh, good. I don't think I can handle another surprise. ¿Vive cerca, señor Ángel? Do you live nearby? No, señora. Oh, good. I was glad to hear. Well, at this point, Juan tried to nudge his wife to try to stop her from asking questions, but she gave him a laser look. Do you know what a laser look is? Here it goes. Like there's beams flashing from your eyes, and it's just like kind of beheading the other person. And Juan knew not to say anything else. He figured everything will be just fine. Well, at this point, Teresa had figured it out a way to see that man's face. She thought that if she could keep feeding him tamales and mole, well, no one can eat so many tamales and mole without getting really thirsty. Eventually, he would want some water. He would drink it. He would tilt his head up, and she would get to see his face. Great idea, right? So she asked, "Más tamales, señor Ángel? More food?" And the tall, slender man with a big sombrero over his head said, "Gracias, señora. Thank you." Well, she took that as a yes. She ran to the kitchen. She brought more tamales, a lot of spicy sauce on it. She brought it. She served it right there and said, "Eat, coma." And the tall, slender man kept eating. Then she asked, Agua, Señor Ángel? Water? And the tall, slender man with a big sombrero over his head said, Gracias, señora. She went to the kitchen, she brought the water, she put it right there in front of him. And the stranger grabbed the cup and he hesitated for a moment. But then he brought it closer to his mouth and he drank that water. And when he put the cup down, Rosa saw the stranger's face. It was not what she was expecting. No, it was a skull, a bleached skull with gaping holes where eyes should have been, and teeth, his teeth all white and grinding at him. Oh, that woman ran out of that house in a frenzy. Her husband went after her, but he couldn't find her that night. He found her the next day. She was deep into the forest. She was on a rock, rocking back and forth, as if she was seeing something passing by. Well, it took her a couple of weeks to recover from that fright. And you better believe her, by the next Dia de los Muertos, Day of the Dead, Teresa organized a humble and small ofrenda offering outside their home. It was just one tamal, a bit of mole sauce, water, and a candle for that errant soul, that man, that stranger that had come to visit them that time, because she did not want to see that muerto, that dead, that ancestor again. And that, my friends, it's the end. Good job, guys. Give yourselves a round of applause. Good job. All right. What did we learn from this story? What did we get from it? Let's see. Yes. Go ahead. Yeah, maybe we can leave some tamales outside, right? Be nicer to that stranger. Yes, I'll get back to you in a second. Yes, my friend. What else did you learn? See what? Yeah. What else? Exactly. She learned that that man, although she never met him, it was someone's friend. Probably he was someone's husband or brother, right? So you gotta have some compassion for those two. Great idea. I love it. Yes. It is what? Important for some people, and we gotta respect that. Yes, sir. Sometimes we have to be careful who we open the door, right? You don't know who's knocking that door. That's a good idea. I like it. Yes. Say that again. Ah, he was in disguise. And why do you think he was in disguise? Do you remember that Juan, when he buried the bones, he told him, please, you are welcome to come to my house, but don't scare me or my wife, right? So that's why the skeleton was wearing a disguise, because he didn't want it to scare them, right? So he did his part. We can't blame him, right? All right. Good job, guys. Give yourselves a round of applause. Yes, Linda. The laser look? Yeah, you gotta learn it. Here goes. It's like you're shooting beams out of your eyes. Right, that's a laser look. That means like you're in trouble, big one. right? Can we go to the next slide and I'll tell my friends here, I want you at the end to come here and take a look at these ofrendas, but I'm going to explain to you a little bit so you understand what you're looking at when you come here, right? So we have an altar. Here's an altar. Here's another altar. And this one in the middle is also another altar. Altars can have many levels. It really depends on your beliefs and also what do you have at home, right? What can you work with? You may want to have a portrait. Right here, I have a portrait of a man and a woman. They were someone's ancestors. So that the portrait serves for that ancestor to know where is their altar. This just kind of helps them identify where he has to go. Then we can have a cross or not. It depends on your beliefs. So this is more like a Christian element. You may have copal or incense. You know what copal or incense is? It's an herb that they dry and then they burn it and it smells really good. Can we pretend that we're smelling something delicious? Yes, and it purifies the air. So that's just really nice. We have an arch, and these arches represent a threshold. You know what a threshold is? It's like a door from the other side to our side. From the side of, have you ever watched, was the movie Coco? Yes, you see the ancestors, you know, passing from one side to the other. So they pass through a threshold or a door. That's why we have these arches. So they pass. All right. We have papel picado. Anyone, can you guys see this one here? Yes. Papel picado is made of paper, actually. And this is beautiful decorations they made with, you have a bird here. Can you see? Tell me what you see here. A skull. What is this? A butterfly. And this one, that's another skull. Yes. So they have different, they make different designs on them. And when these ones, when the papel picado move, can you move with me? Like this, when they're moving, they represent the wind. And the colors represent the festivity. And the wind means that life is always flowing. Can you flow with me? Flowing, yes. We have candles. Candles because the candles help the ancestor come and also is a symbol of purification. We have water because you remember in Coco, they were traveling far, those ancestors, right? They were traveling, going from really far, coming to the cemetery and to the people's houses. It was a long journey and they get thirsty. So that's why we have water. We got flowers. These are called cempasúchil. Can you say with me? Cempasúchil. It means marigold flowers. And these flowers, they are chosen for the celebration because the color represents the sun, it represents life, but also because these flowers help repel insects. So since you're putting a lot of offerings, right? And there's a lot of food, you don't want a bunch of ants or roaches walking around. So you have these ones also to help keep those insects away from the offerings. So that is pretty helpful, right? Next slide. We have calaveras. You know what calaveras are? Yeah, these skulls, right? So they are made sometimes of clay or sugar, or they're just, you know, like this one's made of fabric. And the point of having these calaveras around is to tell the living that we all carry death inside. Why? Because we have skeletons inside. Are we not? We do have skeletons inside. So that's a way to remind us that our lives are fragile, but it's worth living, and we have to make the best of it. All right, we got food, preferably the food that they loved to eat when they were alive. Personal belongings, maybe a ring, and a dog figurine. And this is a funny one. You know why they have dog figurines around? Take a guess. Guess. My friend over there. Yes. What do you think they have a dog around? They love their dogs? Maybe it's because they have a doggy that they love so much, right? And passed away. Any other ideas why we have a dog in our altars? Yes, sir. Can you speak a little louder for me? No, you passed. That's okay. I'll tell you. In the old times, the indigenous people believed that the dogs can help a person cross to the other side. So let's say a person passed away, they died, they would meet their doggy on a special place, and then their doggy would carry them on their backs and help them cross to the place where they're going to rest. So that's why they have doggies in their altars, figurines of doggies. That's why. All right. So I would like for you to come, maybe one group at a time, and then you can take a look around. Maybe you go back, and then you can ask me questions of things that you saw here that you were like, I don't know what that thing is there. What is that there? What is it? Sounds good? All right. So our teachers are going to lead the first group to come here. Okay. While I tie my shoe, yeah, I would advise you not to touch it because some stuff actually is kind of delicate. It might whoops fall on you, and that would give us a good fright, a buen susto. We don't want that, right? Nah, we had enough sustos already. Yes. Oh yeah, you can say hello when you're up here. You can look at that and then you wave at me. That also works. Yeah, of course. Yeah. Yeah, you can also stop here when you come down and look at this one too. Ah.
It was a flying. It's not flying, right?
That's a calavera. You got all you know all the songs. Ah. Yes, you see, they're sitting on little chairs. Isn't that cute? Their baby? She was holding a flower. It's part of the decoration. Or no. No, yo no la hice. Someone else did it. I don't know. I mean, this is actually not mine. The only thing from this altar that is mine is this picture. That's it. Yeah, you can touch it. I hold it here, but let's be gentle. So you see, these are made. So this is handcrafted. These are not real flowers. Exactly, they're made of paper. Yeah, people are very crafty. You already did. That's just like that. Yes. All right. Those are toys. Yes, this is an altar for an angelito. You know what an angelito is? A child. Yes. So this is an altar for an angelito. Can you say it with me? Angelito. Angelito. That means a child, a little one. Yeah. So here's a picture of ancestor. Here's some toys for the angelitos. No?
Put it in the sheet, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, these are made of paper. These are not real flowers. But this is for you to see that how much time and dedication people put in organizing this. But they make this with their hands. These beautiful flowers, they make them. You can actually make them. You can learn how to make these ones. Awesome. Hi. Oh, someone remembered to say hi to me. Yay. Hi. All right, friends. How about we take a seat and then you'll just ask me the questions you have. From all the stuff you saw, you can ask me some questions.
Who would like to speak in a microphone?
Oh, that would be nice.
Won't that be fun? Here, I'm coming over here. I saw this hand first, I think.
Why is there a flute?
What is what?
Why is there a flute?
A flute. Oh, I had a flute here. Thanks for asking. This is actually called a quena. It's Peruvian. But this is because maybe one of the ancestors that passed away enjoyed playing the flute. So you want to put in the altar things that they enjoyed using. Maybe he was a musician, so maybe he had a trombone or a trumpet, and then you would put the trumpet in the altar.
Why are there flowers?
Thank you. So the flowers, actually, they normally organize a little path. You know what a path is? Like a little road. And the path comes from the cemetery to the home. And that way, the dead person, the ancestor, finds his way home. So the flowers serve also to guide the person home. And it's a way to celebrate, to welcome them. Yes.
Did you decorate?
I did a little bit, but I also had help from Linda and Jose and Carlos. So, yes.
I did like the skeleton dolls.
You like the skeleton dolls? They're cute, right?
I'm going to go to the other side of the room, and I'm sorry, it'll be hard for me to get everybody, but let's try.
And that's the cocoa side.
Yes. Yeah, you got it right. Those are cocos.
Why? Why does a mama de Dios?
Say that again.
Why does a mama de Dios?
Oh,
Mama de Dios? Or
Mama
Mama
de Dios.
Ghost? Is that what you said?
Ah, you mean this one here? This one? No? Could you comment? You can come and tell me exactly which one is that you're pointing at. So that's probably easier. Oh, la Virgen de Guadalupe, la mamá de Dios. Good job. Thank you. Yeah, so we have a little, since this is a celebration that is mostly Mexican, so in Mexico, they honor la Virgen de Guadalupe, the Virgin of Guadalupe, which is la mamá de Dios, God's mom. So we have it there because most likely the ancestor believed in la Virgen de Guadalupe. So we want to have those things that they believed in right there, those religious things that bring some comfort. Yes.
Why do you have portraits of the queen?
Say that again for me.
Why do you have portraits of the queen behind you?
Portraits. Yeah, we have the portraits. You see here, we have a woman. I don't know if you can see her. She's someone's ancestor. You want to have this portrait so the ancestor knows where to go because they see, oh, that's my picture. Okay, that's the place I need to go. Does it make sense? Yeah, it's like they put your pictures in different places, and then your teacher tells you where your picture is, that is where your stand. Does it make sense? That's why we have those pictures there too.
Is that your family in the pictures?
Actually, it's not my family. It is Jose's. Jose, wave. That is Jose's mother. And over here is Jose's parents too. Yeah. Yes. So in a way, he made Dia de los Muertos more popular too.
Why do you have to decorate about all this stuff?
Because we want to welcome the ancestors with a fiesta. And when you're throwing a party, what do? You decorate, right?
If we don't do that anymore.
Well, there's many people that still do it, like people that are probably Mexican American. So they still do it, they honor. And in Latin America, we still on November the 1st and 2nd, we try to decorate a little and do something because we respect our ancestors. We want to honor them and say, we thank you. We're sad that you're not here, but at the same time, we still thank you for what you did.
Why aren't they like those like pictures over there? Like those paintings.
All those paintings, like Linda said, this is Jose Guadalupe Posada. He was an artist about almost 200 years ago. And he began drawing a lot of calaveras and skulls and skeletons, like the one I had here. And so he popularized, or he made it kind of into the stream media, that he started drawing all this everywhere. So people start fearing death and realizing that we needed to honor our ancestors.
He made them to make fun of the people who were bad people and were not kind. And he said, oh, when you die, you're going to be just like us. We all turn into bones. So you can't be snappy. You can't be mad to people. You can't be mean, because we all end up the same way.
Yes.
Isn't this awesome that you get asked questions and we're learning so much? When I thank Miss Linda and thank Carolina, we still have a few more people. Are you good with?
Yeah, a couple of questions. Yes.
Why do you have those things right there? Like
Those what?
like the blankets behind you.
Oh, this ones? This is just part of the decoration. So you can use happy blankets, with colorful things. It's just part of the decoration.
I also want to thank Pawnee Elementary for taking the time to bring your students.
Yes.
This is the beginning of learning outside of your classroom. Learning is not only when you're in the class, you can learn all day long, and your teachers and your principal are helping you learn that by bring you here. We wish you all the best. I know that your buses will be coming soon. Oh, and Linda is going to tell you about something else that's happening. And then I'm going to say goodbye.
Now, Catalina, if you want to see Catalina, she's going to be again at the Benson Theater on Sunday, October the 29th at 2:00. It's a family thing. We're going to have Catalina. We're going to have Brian Henney, who is a Yankee Soup puppeteer. He's going to bring in puppets. And then we're going to have a mom and her son singing. Deanna Lara Pera, and her son is a folk singer. So, and I'm going to tell a really, really small, sweet story of my grandmother there too. And for children, it's free for 2 to 6 year olds. It's free. And then from 7 to 17, they're free too. And it's $5 for adults. And it's 10 family of 3 or more. You only have to pay $10 for the whole family. So it's a Sunday afternoon matinee at 2 o'clock at Benson Theater in Benson. It's a wonderful theater. And if you want to see Catalina again, that's where she's going to be. So you don't have to say goodbye today if you want to go see her. So I hope you remember this. We have, I think Jose had some papers. Yeah.
I believe the flyers are back there at the back table. Is that right, Jose? Yeah. Okay. And I do want you to know that Carolina has a few books in the back if anybody wanted to purchase for $10. Yeah. It's a book that comes with 2 separate stories, correct?
These are hello Aztec stories that tell about how the world was made. According to the Aztec tradition, is a picture book. So it is the pictures are the way the Aztecs or the old Mexica people used to make their own books. So it's a little bit different the way, but it's a fun book for children too. It's in rhyming. So that's it.
Okay. So thank you so much. It was really a nice time to be together. And I'm sorry not everybody got to ask questions, but I'm thankful for all the great questions that you had.
Adiós. Adiós, amiga.